In July, Field Marshal Montgomery wrote to the Chief of Imperial General Staff, "We are fighting an ideal defensive country. We do the attacking and the Boche is pretty thin on the ground. I would say we lose 3 men to his 1 in our infantry divisions." The task of seizing Montpinçon was given to 129 Brigade, supported by the 1318th Hussars, and the advance began in the early hours of the 5th of August. The plan was for the 5th Wiltshires, with A Squadron 1318th Hussars, to advance via la Varinière to secure the lower slopes of Montpinçon, and for the 4th Wiltshires, with B Squadron, to secure Saint-Jean-le-Blanc, a small village which is strategically placed a few kilometers south of Montpinçon. Down the west side of Montpinçon runs the Druance, which is today but a small stream, a seemingly peaceful stretch of water which proved a formidable obstacle to the advancing forces in 1944.
The bridge we expected to cross, blown. The commanding officer, my CO, said, "The orders are to get on. Let the tanks rest here for the minute. Continue on foot to that river, get across to the village," which was only a mile or 2, which we did. The minute we got into the rougher ground, getting higher and higher, it was very steep, very hot, sporadic fire broke out. Now, the battle lasted for several hours because of the close nature of it. And every time we tried to advance, it drew very heavy fire.
I went off to support C Company, who were having a real tough time. I think I found about a couple of thousand bombs. Well, we had unlimited ammunition.
There were a lot of intersection battles, almost hand-to-hand battles for buildings, for a little area. And on the right platoon, all 3 section commanders, that's corporals, knocked out, wounded, or killed. The platoon was commanded by then by a lance corporal who was absolutely, I remember he was a battalion boxer called Jenkins. Gave me a lot of trouble, but he was an excellent fellow. And he took command of this platoon. And I remember him leading a counterattack, leading a little counterattack, and meeting head-on with a German doing the same thing with about 10 men. Fascinating to watch, because Jenkins won. This was going on the whole time. That platoon was knocked out practically, but it stayed. On the left, similar fighting. This went on all day.
In the meantime, the pioneers had been putting together a new bridge, and by about 1600 hours, a troop of tanks from B Squadron 1318th Hussars arrived on the scene.
It took us 2 hours to finish the battle and capture the place. A lot of casualties on both sides. No Germans surrendered, which was interesting. They didn't surrender. They fought to the end, and clearly it must have been a rear guard company set for that task. By 1800 hours, they'd all been shot or had withdrawn. And there were we, Germans lying about dead, ourselves lying about wounded and dead, 1800 hours. I had a very good forward observation officer of the 94th Field Regiment, Captain John Fletcher. He and I went forward, I remember, while the men were digging themselves in, to get a suitable OP for him, because clearly the Germans had gone down and beyond. And as we came to a further ridge round the corner of the field, we bumped head-on into 2 German sentries armed with Schmeissers. I, of course, was far too slow to do anything about it, The gunner reacted like any good infantryman should. Shot the first chap. The other chap may have been wounded, but he legged it down the hill and away. We looked down the hill, and there was at least a company of Germans with tanks forming up to carry out the natural thing after a battle, make a counterattack. Young Fletcher got onto his regiment, and before you could say knife, well, not as quickly as that, but in a few minutes, the stonk came down. Heavy artillery on these people, which dispersed them. But it was quite a sort of shock that the battle was by no means over. I went back, and night was falling. The troop of tanks withdrew for whatever they do at night. So we were left in this rather eerie position, digging in, Germans quite close, no grub, no food, and waited. We didn't quite know what to do next, except defend the place. At about 9 p.m., orders came through that it had been decided by the brigade commander that 4 should withdraw because the objective was Montpensol, not Saint-Jean-le-Blanc, and he had decided on a different way. That little battle for that day in Saint-Jean-le-Blanc was 1 officer killed and 21 other ranks killed, 2 officers wounded and 37 other ranks wounded. And with depleted companies, that's a lot.
There was so much going on all the time, you know, that you just sort of take one day at a time, sort of. But, and you just sort of wake up mornings, you think, oh, good gosh, I'm still here.